Today we'll continue in learning Pirki Avot, the chapters, the ethics, the sayings of our fathers, the fathers of Judaism, especially in the time of the Talmud. And now we're learning some very, very deep sayings by Rabbi Akiva. So listen to this, Rabbi Akiva. Remember yesterday we said that man is dear to all humans because they're created in the image of God, and the Jews are even more dear that they're called the sons of God. Remember, we learned that yesterday. Okay, now we're going to learn something also very interesting. It's a very big problem in, what do you want to call it? When you think about God, and especially the Jewish definition of God, that God creates everything and he is everything and he knows everything. But nevertheless, we have free will. How does that work? So that's what the Rebbe says. Here we go. Ready? Rabbi Akiva. Hakol Safui. Let's get the pointer. Hakol Safui. Everything is foretold. God knows exactly what's going to be. Varashut Natuna. But nevertheless, free will is given. Don't think that it's already set. You have no free choice. You have free choice. How can that be? If God knows what you're going to do, so how can you possibly have free choice? It's already been set, right? We'll talk about this, but it's not so. Ubetuv olam nadun. But the world is judged in a positive way. And everything is according to the amount of good that you do. So God knows everything, but nevertheless you have free will. I'll tell you how I explain this. Doesn't seem to be such a big problem. Let's say, for instance, that there was somebody, right? I know everything that you're going to do. Let's say I know everything you're going to do. I got it all. You want to come over to my house? I'll show you a movie of everything you're going to do. I have it in a movie. It's finished. It's all set. You have no choice. Okay. Now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You didn't see the movie. You want to see the movie? I don't want to see the movie. Okay, what are you going to do? So you say, well, he knows what I'm going to do, right? So you haven't got any free will. That Rabbi Bolton knows everything I'm going to do, everything. So what am I going to do? Maybe I'll do something unexpected. There's no such thing. He knows everything you're going to do. So what are you going to do? How are you going to live your life? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If you have any sense, you'll forget about the whole thing, but I know. What difference does it make? And you'll live your life in a normal way. What do you care if I know? But I haven't got anything better to do. That Bolton has nothing better to do than look at me and see what I'm going to do. So just because I happen to know what you're saying, this is something like the answer that the Rambam gives also. There's a lot of different answers to this question because it's a big mystery and none of the answers will really be sufficient. But God gave us this gift, which is called free will. And even though he knows what the outcome is, exactly what every movement we're going to do, it in no way contradicts our total free will. We can choose whatever we want to. It's just that God knows whatever we want. He knows what it's going to be. How can this possibly be? This is God. God, it's not that God knows what's going to be. By God, what's going to be already is. Time by God is just a creation. This is incomprehensible. We have no way of understanding what this means. For instance, just take another simple example. In the Torah, there's Abraham. Abraham is tested by God. 10 terrible tests. And he passed all the tests. And God is very pleased. And he says, Abraham, now I'm going to choose you. What's he so pleased about? God already knew what was going to happen from before. So the answer is no, don't be inhuman. Humanity says, right, here we go. Atkal tzafui. Everything is foreseen. Harashut natuna, nevertheless, permission is given to do whatever you want to. Ubetova olam nidon. And everything is according to the amount of the number of good things you actually do. Let's look and see what this means. Let's look at the Bar Tanura. Pretty interesting. Here's the Bar Tanura. Where is it? What happened? So Bar Tanura. Hakol Safui. Everything is foreseen. Kol masha adam oseh, everything that a person does in the most private of private places is revealed in front of God. God sees everything you're going to do. Here he says everything is safui, doesn't mean the future. Here it says that called safui means God sees right now. God is sofeh. He looks and sees what you're doing right now. Harishut natuna, and free will is given. So that takes away the question we had. But other people say no. Rishut natuna, it is in the hand of man to do whatever he wants to, good or bad. God says, I put in front of you good or bad. The Rambam doesn't say that. If we have the Rambam, here he says, Rabbi Akiva says something very deep. Says everything, that's the Rambam says, everything which is in the world is known by God. This right, Bahu Mesigoto, and says everything is known. And then afterwards it says, don't think though that you haven't, because God knows everything you're going to do, that you have no free will. So it says it's not so, but a person has total free will and he can do whatever he wants. Okay, that's what. But Tova Olam Nidon, the world is judged in good. God judges everything according to mercy. Nevertheless, Eino Kol Shavim, not everything is equal, because everything, it's according to the amount of good that you do. In other words, if you want to give $1 million to charity, it's better that you should give $1,000 1,000 times than giving $1 million one time. Why? Because it accustoms you to give. The more good acts that you do, this elicits more mercy from God. Okay. Everything is according to what a person doubles and redoubles his deeds, is that. That's what he says. It's not the same thing if you give 100 coins to charity 100 times, or if you give it all 100 coins, you give it one coin at a time, or you give it all at once. He said it's better to do a little bit at a time, because that accustoms you to do good and to do kindness. Let's do one more. Rabbi Akiva said, Hakol natun ve'eravon. We'll do this tomorrow. Everything is given, all the life and everything that God gives you is given as a loan. And there's a big net over your whole life. Nothing will escape. Nothing will escape. And the stores are all open. And the store owners, the banks are open. And the bank owners, they will lend you. In other words, life. You can get as much as you want to. What do you want from this world? Of course, within certain limits you can get, but nevertheless, the ledger is open, the hand writes, and anyone who wants to come and borrow can come and borrow. But the collectors are always going around every day collecting money, and they pay for a person. They make a person pay, whether willfully or unwillfully, willingly or not willingly. And they have all the ledgers are there that they can look and say, hey, you owe $5 million, right? And they always judge truthfully, and everything is fixed for the meal. What's going on? What is he talking about? This is a big riddle. He said, everything is given. Ragluya de Barnash Inun Aravin Bey. Inun Aravin Bey. La'achar Shemidboy Taman Movilin Yaseh. Says that the deeds of a person, they are the ones that will accompany him. Here he says, Arivim is like a company. According to what a person does, that's where a person is led. So a person thinks he's getting away with things in this world, but afterwards it's not going to be. It says the Matsuda Parusa. It says that God's, his judging hand is already spread out. There's misfortune and death can accompany someone as a punishment, but the stores are all open. In other words, in your life, you can do whatever you want to. You can take out, and God believes everyone wants to. Also, people that sin, and God just waits for them. Mamtin, God waits for them until the proper time comes. and God writes everything down. Vayad kotevet. Don't say that, okay, maybe there's these ledgers, but maybe God is busy. I mean, there's so many people doing so many things in the world. God has can't pay attention to all of them. So someone's going to get away with whatever he wants to. And maybe that person will be me. I'll do whatever I want. He says, don't worry about it. You can come and borrow as much as you want to. Everything is open. But you should know that you're going to have to pay back soon, because a person will pay back. Sometimes a person will pay his debt to God willfully, and sometimes it's not. He forgets. So really, what's he trying to say over here? Everything we have is really a loan from God. Our life, our eyes, our ears, everything. So we should use it in the way that God wants. But when we do use it, when using it, we should know that God's counting up the mileage, and in the end, you're going to have to pay somehow or other. And God always judges in a truthful way. In a truthful way. And everything is fixed up for the future world. What says the world to come is everyone has a part in the world to come. Are you going to take that part or not? So in other words, don't think that in this world, that's all there is. That's it. It's just this world. This world is tremendously important to God, and we have a tremendous responsibility to God. And if we feel our responsibility, so there's a tremendous reward. If not, so we're taken into the the auto mechanic shop and we get fixed up. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, talk to you, God willing, tomorrow.